these guys will get it in the end, because us girls are not going to sit here and just let this keep happening.
Amazing. Amazing.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, good morning, guys. I'm James Hake of the Hake Report, and it is Friday, July 12th, 2019, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 Central, 12 Eastern, and it is 10 Mountain Time, Mountain Daylight Time, but 9 Mountain Standard Time. For those of you in Arizona who don't celebrate Daylight Savings Time like the rest of us, or recognize whatever. I guess it's not a celebration. Joelle and I have not been celebrating Daylight Savings Time. We switched daylights, we sprang forward an hour, and neither of us has recovered, and that was like months ago. But I do have some interesting info for you guys, and I just played a clip from this young woman, Virginia Roberts, a teen runaway, and I got that from the Miami Herald, who was working at the Mar-a-Lago down in Florida when she was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell to be a masseuse to Palm Beach hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein. And she makes all kinds of allegations against Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. And then she makes admissions to her own wrongdoing, but she says that she's ashamed about it, but I don't know if she's willing to pay the price for them. And she casts it as us girls versus those guys. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Some people don't realize that this is part of the attack on men. Just because these people, it looks like maybe did a lot of wrongdoing, doesn't mean that these women are innocent, and it doesn't mean that they're not attacking innocent men, and they are attacking innocent men. You see, it's part of the whole Me Too movement, which is an attack on men, and a kiss up to the victimhood of women, which is not good for women either, by the way. So anyways, I want to tell you guys, and I will get to your calls. I appreciate you calling in and holding on. 888-775-3773. I will get right to you guys. But first, I want to recognize White History Month. I have my White History Month cell phone cover. Are you? Oh, you're not. I wonder if you're able to zoom in on that. We'll see if I have a new recruit working the board, and we'll see if he can figure it out. He's working on his own right at the moment. But White History Month cell phone cover, very beautiful. Yes, I can do it. And it says, at the bottom, it says, "Doesn't July just feel white?" And it is pale blue. And I cut my fingernails and made sure that they were clean, just so I could show them to you guys. And at the bottom, it's not the best resolution, but it does say, "Doesn't July just feel white?" And that's from Jesse Lee Peterson. Nice. Appreciate it, guys. So I ordered this way back in April, end of April, when we first designed it. And thank you to Savage for helping me design this. But I just received this yesterday evening. And that would have been July 11th. April 28th or so to July 11th. That sounds like 10, 11 weeks, something like that. 2 months and 2.5 months, basically. So order early, and Teespring does try to do you right. Their customer service is responsive. Sometimes the shipping is lacking, and then sometimes stuff breaks and all kinds of madness. But I still like Teespring because they, even if it takes a long time or it take a couple tries, they will get it to you. So their customer service, I stand behind. So, and I think that Streamlabs also will offer some things, maybe not cell phone covers, I haven't checked it out, but they do offer t-shirts. So we'll try to get those up too. Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/bondactioninc for the Jesse's one. And I have one too. I think it's streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. Cool, huh? /V2 if you want to watch the video along with it. So anyways, get your stuff early. And Men's History Month stuff is already for sale. We are close to the middle of July. So if you order now and assuming that they do everything right, you'll get it in time for August, which is Men's History Month. So JesseLeePeterson.com to find the Teespring store. It's the Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring store. This is the pale blue one. Yeah, I think it's cool. I probably should have a lighter colored cell phone, not black, but whatever. I normally don't have any cell phone cover on my cell phone. I was about to get to some calls, but some of you guys are not ready. Okay, my white history. I have a little bit of white history to share with you guys. When I was born, my parents would have been in their 30s, I think. I think they were in their 30s. Yeah, they were definitely in their 30s. 33, 34. I was the fourth kid, and I was the baby of the family for like 6 years, almost 7 years, until my baby brother was born. But my dad, ever since I knew him, he had like a strong work ethic. He was always working, even if he was just working from home, because a lot of the times he was working from home. He was teaching, and then he ended up writing some math books because the math books that he was having to teach from were lacking. And then he was always a runner too, and he would make us run sometimes. And as we grew up, it became like, oh man, now we have to run. And then he always had like rules, like no fighting. And so that was a pretty decent upbringing. My mother taught us Bible verses. I remember learning to read before kindergarten. She would force us to memorize Bible verses that were written down on these 3x5 cards. And you would read the Bible verse and say, what passage it was. And then you turn around in the back and it would say the passage. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm whatever. Stuff like that. And I liked that verse, by the way. I liked the thing that you're not supposed to want. And I know that it may mean you're not supposed to be lacking, but I still like the thing that you're not supposed to want. That's cool. And then she kind of enforced this morality stuff. It was funny. Before I knew about sex, she was telling us about this movie that we were about to see the next day or something like that supposedly had it in it, but I never even caught on that it had it in it. She's like, you shouldn't sleep together before marriage. She was teaching us this as like kids. And some family friends were showing us this movie, and I think it had this guy, the white-haired guy who's like a comedian, and he played Father of the Bride, Steve Martin or something like that. I don't know, but I remember the scene where he's wearing like a tuxedo or a suit, and he's like sleeping at the foot of the bed like a beta male, and there's no evidence that they had like actual whatever, but. Yeah, she taught us that type of stuff. And then she also had so-called Jesus Club. And Jesus Club was every Friday, 3 p.m. or so. All of the neighborhood kids and friends and us kids and cousins would come into our family room of my parents' home. My mother would play piano, we would sing some songs, and then she would share like a Bible story and some moral. And then we would have question and answers, and the people who would get the right answer, she would throw some candy to them. So it's very Christian, right? Kind of. And then I thought the whole world was Christian, by the way, because I lived in Temple City, and temple, obviously, that's a Christian word because you find the word temple in the Bible and stuff like that. I grew up reading these things called arch books, which were little illustrated Bible stories, basically. Read about Samson, read about Samuel, read about all kinds of people. And then later on, I started reading some of more like Christian comic books and Chicks publications, which are those little Bible tracts that scare you. Some of those scared me. But very white, very Christian. And I didn't think of it as white because it was my world. Even though I grew up amongst Mexicans, whom I just thought they had a good tan, and then Asians or Chinese or whatever. And so then there was this whole question: my oldest brother would ask my middle brother, older than me, if such and such friend was Christian or Catholic. I'm like, oh, what's Catholic? So then I learned there's two religions. And then later on, my mother asked me if my Chinese friends were Buddhists. So then I knew that there was three religions. And then I was watching like these Christian talk shows. Christian, it's called Fire by Night. It was by some people way back over in Oklahoma. And I learned that there was something called Satanism and Mormons. Well, we kind of learned about Mormons because of people coming to our house and stuff like that. So, I don't know, my world kind of opened up, and then, so I became like, I was like a Christian the whole time growing up, never found a reason to reject it. Through college, became more serious about it, so-called. Reading the Bible every day and freaking out about stuff, whatever, just being like over serious about it. And then after college, a few years after college, I find out about Bond and come check it out. I was going to church the whole time, my family's church. And then I come to Bond, and then Jesse's saying stuff that jives with the Bible, just rings true, normal, down-to-earth, common sense, no excuses mentality. And so I stuck with this. And people think, oh, one of my friends, I brought him to church. I was trying to push it on him a little bit, but you know, you're excited, right? And you want to share it with your friends, have the worlds kind of come together. But he's like, he was projecting all kinds of madness on it. He thought that because Jesse was black, it was like a bonus for me, as if I cared about that stuff. And so he's all, and he's black, ding, 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 ding. And he was basically mocking the idea that, because it's true amongst a lot of whites, especially politicians, that they try to include some black person, to, I don't know, make themselves look good or make themselves look not racist or something like that. And that wasn't even in my thinking. I didn't really consider, Jesse didn't seem into the black thing at all. And so I'd never thought of him as that. And I just thought of him as somebody who was telling the truth. And I got into it because of religion, not because of the politics. And then I started to get into politics later. I strayed away from politics in like college because I had seen my older brother get kind of nutty about it. Like he got overzealous about it and angry. And he was already angry, right? But he was lashing out at people sometimes in the wrong way. Even though they were wrong and he was technically right, it was not truth, like I mentioned, about telling the truth. He was not presenting truth because he was angry. And so I got mad about that, and I strayed away from that stuff. So I would just laugh at all the liberals in my Christian schools and in Pasadena City College. I would just laugh and enjoy what they were saying, the madness that they were saying, but I would not like try to argue with them. Until now. So now I'm doing that. So that's my story about how I came to Jesse, basically. In a long story long. More details later, maybe. Anyways, let me get to Mark out of Savannah, Georgia. First-time caller. How you doing, Mark?
James, how you doing, James?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, man. I had to call, man. You know, I tune into the show every day and whatnot.
Cool.
But the other day, right, they were talking about the man that beat up the police officer in the store. And I was, you know, I saw that. I kind of, it got triggered because in Savannah a couple months ago, you know, they don't like to talk about it. They just had a black police officer shot and killed by a black man out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so that kind of hit me close to home. So I went online, you know, on my Instagram, I post on there talking about, oh, the way he was attacking that police officer, he was 300 pounds, towering over that man. If I was that police officer, I would have shot him. And that's what I said. I said I would have shot him.
Uh-huh.
And then I had this black hoochie mama all up in my DMs talking about, are you serious, blah, blah, blah. I said 100% serious. That's all I said. I left it at that, 100% serious.
Yeah.
Then it turned out today they threatening to delete my account
Yeah.
and all this, telling me they banned my post.
Because that's violence? Because you're promoting violence in their mind?
Yeah, it was saying hateful speech and talking about violence and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But this is my thing. How I'm speaking hateful when really I'm just defending the police officer who
Yeah.
is being assaulted in a high and aggravated nature.
I know what you mean, man. But this is what that social media summit was about supposedly yesterday. Trump held a social media summit at the White House with a bunch of conservatives who are just speaking sane things like you. Because you're not talking about murdering the guy. You're talking about shooting him in self-defense. But people don't, maybe like basically as conservatives on these far left liberal platforms that hate the truth, you have to like totally kiss up or just expect to be kicked off. And by kiss up, I just mean in self-defense, you know, like with...
That's what I'm saying. That's all I was saying, man.
Right.
And then they posted the thing on CNN talking about he was fighting the cop after the cop tased him. No, he wasn't fighting the police officer. He was attacking the police officer. Look, all I'm saying is they act like they know about black folk. And the girl that been in my DMs that day, she act like she know about black folk because she black. But she go to Ivy League school and all that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? You don't know nothing about these streets and what these people are capable of. I'm just trying to figure out why intellectual blacks are trying to bring down the ignorant blacks by encouraging this type of nonsense to keep on going on.
They are evil. They're self-important. They're hung up on their own. You know when you know something, and somebody differs from you, and you may attack them sometimes.
Right.
That's what they're doing, and unfortunately, they have the social media on their side, and they have the liberal media and the politicians and the professors, and so they're just like when your ego gets puffed up to attack people. Their ego is puffed up to attack and use, and they're self-righteous about it. They're blind. They're just on an ego trip. I think that's what's happening.
Well, James, you know, man, I appreciate you taking this call, man, and letting me get this off my chest.
Yeah, it's obnoxious, man.
I love her. I just want her to push the right stuff out there towards black people, because I'm tired of living around this type of nonsense, and I'm seeing it firsthand. Like I told you, they just shot and killed a black police officer who served 20 years in the Army, 10 for the Chatham County Police Department, and nobody is talking about that or caring about that at all. And
man, that's crazy. We'll have to look into that.
Who could have just stayed in the car. That's all he had to do was stay in the car.
Man, what a shame.
Hey, thank you, James.
All right, thank you, Mark.
All right, brother.
Happy White History Month to you. Let's see, Charles out of Compton, California. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Greetings, my good man. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
Oh, it's great to speak to you again as well.
Cool.
Anybody, you know what, you posted the N-word conversation. I just want to compliment you on your editing, because I think you really proved my point.
Okay,
on YouTube,
thank you.
Anybody who hasn't seen that should definitely look at that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's my top viewed video on the Hake Report, on the Hake channel on YouTube.
Right. It's very enlightening, too. I think, everyone should check that out, your opinion on the N-word and everything. But I just wanted to touch one subject with you regarding the Central Park Five. Are you familiar with Corey Wise?
Yeah, he's one of the Central Park Five. A little. I just know that name.
He was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was 16 years old. He accompanied his 15-year-old friend, Yusef Salam, to the police station in show of support. So he was never at the park, right? And this has been confirmed. And he was exonerated by his DNA. So because of his age, he was legally allowed to be questioned with no supervision, no parental or legal supervision.
Okay,
he had hearing issues and learning disability prior to this. Okay, and the details of his statement didn't even match the crime. He's the one that actually ran into the perpetrator while he was incarcerated.
Okay.
And this young guy experienced much violence, abuse, solitary confinement, all as a result of him trying to make a show of support to his friend. He ended up doing years in jail. And I just wonder why you had no empathy for this guy.
Because empathy is a liberal word, and I don't believe in empathy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Compassion,
and the other thing is, like, I don't know much about all that you're saying. I don't know that what you're saying is true. I just know that these guys.
It's easily verified.
Okay, so you say.
He went as a show of support to his friend. He was never at the park.
So
he's
you say,
16
man.
years old, so he's the only one that was tried as an adult, and he was incarcerated in adult prison.
Yeah, for like 11 or 13 years.
Right. For a crime that he wasn't even there at the park.
If he's innocent, then I'm glad that he's out. But I'm not convinced.
Well,
one thing that bothers me about this, Charles.
The perpetrator of the crime was convicted based upon DNA evidence.
He was never convicted,
and his hair matched, and they were on the victim.
Okay, one thing that I know, the person who did supposedly commit the actual rape part, the Matthias, whatever his name was, he was never convicted. Reyes was never convicted.
Well, Reyes already had a life sentence,
right?
Though.
Yeah, he was never tried.
But he was connected through DNA evidence.
Sure, yeah.
And that
they always
the
police. Hold on.
The Central Park Five.
So the going theory from the police that I read was that these guys attacked the girl, and then Reyes came in afterwards and raped her. That's what the theory is. But I really don't.
Well, I'm sorry.
I really don't care that much what happened. Like, you can believe what you want, what you read. I'm not going to take that away from you. But my problem is, nowadays, those Central Park 5 people are pushing the lie, and we know it's a lie, of Black Lives Matter. They are undermining the cops.
Okay, you're conflating two different things, though.
No, I'm not conflating it.
That's a group funded by Soros. Nobody knows who their leadership is. They're given platform on mainstream media.
Yep.
They are totally irrelevant. Black Lives Matter. And they're not worse than KKK. I've heard Jesse say
thank God they're irrelevant, right?
Murdered many people and wreaked havoc on many people's lives. BLM is an irrelevant movement that's propped up here by George Soros.
Yep. And unfortunately, those Central Park 5 were supporting them, supporting that nonsense, the same nonsense.
But that's irrelevant. What I just want to.
That's what's. Hold on, Charles.
Issue of their innocence.
That's
and how a lot of people
fine.
are
Whatever.
Imprisoned. Because without the DNA evidence, they wouldn't have been released. And Trump, at least as a show of grace and dignity, once they were released and proven to be innocent, he shouldn't have doubled down on his vitriol.
No, man. There are a lot of people that don't believe that he was proven to be they were proven to be innocent.
Well, I just pointed out the case of the one young guy who was not even at the scene.
That's fine, man.
So we know 100% he's innocent. And
you know that.
Okay, our justice system is set up to
but the thing is, Charles,
innocent until proven guilty. And the evidence that they were convicted for was just circumstantial. They were coerced interrogation.
No, there was no evidence that they were coerced. There's no evidence of that.
Actually, there is.
You say that, but there's
eating, sleeping.
There's multiple,
and they were promised that if they signed this paper, they would be able to get out. See,
why is this case important to you?
That's gone on for a lot of time.
Charles,
in the inner city has been documented. There have been many payouts, civil judgments, just like they received millions of dollars.
I know, but so did Michael Brown's. So did Michael Brown's family, and what does that tell you? Michael Brown was. We know about Michael Brown.
He was wrongfully killed. That's why they received the money. Because if he wasn't wrongfully killed, they wouldn't have received anything.
Oh, yeah, they would. There's a whole liberal side of the government that doesn't care whether they were wrongfully killed or rightfully killed. They're still going to give out that money.
You know, we have conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans, right?
Yeah, big time.
Right, so those lines don't draw as clearly as you kind of try to make them.
No, but the point is, there's a whole lot of corruption.
Right of center or left of center, but they're pretty much in the same sphere. You know what I mean?
But the point is that the fact of them getting money doesn't make them good people.
No, it doesn't.
And you notice, Charles, answer me this question.
In terms of their guilt or innocence, and based upon the facts that are presented in that case, it just strongly suggest that they're all innocent. The one guy I gave you is 100% innocent, but the
So you
other
say, man.
4.
Let me
they
ask
seem to be
you.
innocent as well.
Let me ask you
But
real
there's no
quick,
other evidence,
real fast, man.
Because this guy's MO was that he beat and raped women. He was in jail for that. He had done that prior, and it was the same situation with this other woman.
All right, man.
And there were 2.
All right.
There was a man that got beat with a pipe. There were 2 other youth that were convicted for that crime.
Okay,
so it had nothing
Charles.
to do with that crime either.
How come this is important to you? This
It's
case.
important because you're misrepresenting this and you're making it seem as
No,
if
but I'm just.
these are
Hey,
some-
man. I'm representing what I've read online, all the stuff from sources that I trust, and
But
those
the facts
people
are too readily
those people are not
available,
trustworthy
James. There are
people.
court documents and everything that support exactly what I'm saying, and you guys are going on conjecture and opinion, and
No.
you're misinforming a lot of people.
But you're
and helping
saying
to,
no. That's conjecture
create
to
this
say that they
negative
were
bias
forced.
towards people
You're
who are innocent.
conjecturing too. All right,
Pardon
Charles. I gotta go, man.
James, it's always good to talk to you, man. I hope, man, take a little enlightenment, man. You know, you need to maybe wake up a little bit and realize all blacks aren't bad, not predisposed to evil, and many love God.
All right, cool, man. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.
He's a nice guy, but Marcus Jones says caller is stating all facts, but it's not a fact that they were forced. They were forced to confess these things. There was no evidence of forced confession, and my point is, they're promoting this story to promote the lie of black victimhood, and especially trying to act like it was racist, which doesn't exist. We all know. So that's why I really don't care about that stuff. And it's really pointless to complain about this and talk about this stuff when it's years later. It doesn't involve any one of us, but they're acting like it paints a bigger picture. And that's the whole reason why they made this whole Netflix series, which is totally maligning the police and the prosecutors and making these people look like innocent victims when they were not innocent people. And today it proves it out because they're supporting the Black Lives Matter nonsense, and they're appearing on CNN and all kinds of crap. They're supporting evil. So that's my point, is look at them today and then compare those. Who are you going to trust? Some like woman like Ava DuVernay, nasty black radical activist who likes to exploit black anger and promote herself? Or are you going to trust a more down-to-earth cop who has nothing to gain or lose by defending the honor of and the innocence and the integrity of those prosecutors? Who are you going to trust? I trust that guy. I lean more towards trusting that guy. So that's me. Shelly, first-time caller out of Pasadena. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Come off speakerphone. You're coming in really rough. Hold on, Shelly.
Hold on.
All right. I'll give you 1 second. Are you there?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see.
All right, I'll put you on hold. Shelly. Don't hang up. Can you fix Shelly's phone? Thank you. Melvin, first-time caller out of Florida. Thanks for holding, man.
Hello?
Yes, you sound like you're on speakerphone too. Hold on, Melvin. Fix your phone and I'll come back to you.
I'm not.
Okay, all right, much better.
All right, and I'm Nolan, not Melvin.
Nolan. Thank you, man. Thanks for correcting that.
No problem. So check this out. I wanted to ask you a question, but before I get to that question, the first brother you had on the phone, and I'm black. I said brother. I'm black.
Yeah.
But anyway, the first guy that you had on the phone, he really
Stay close to the phone.
I'm sorry?
Stay close to your phone and speak up.
Okay, I'm right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, he had some really good points.
You're talking about the guy on Instagram who got his account threatened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I just wanted to say this, right? And it's sad, but I want to say this. See, all black people are not like this. Most black people, you can't tell them the truth. Most black people don't want to hear the truth. I'm looking at the thing with those kids in Philly raiding the store and all this stuff, and I was telling somebody about that. I stay off of social media. First of all, let me just start by saying that. I stay off of social media
I
because
don't blame you.
if I go on and I don't go for the okie doke, you know. I state real opinions, and you know, people jump down my throat, and it affects other things for me. So I stay off of social media. So I'm telling somebody about this, you know, someone that's close to me.
The Philly situation.
They say, oh well, maybe he speculates that it was in retaliation to something that, you know, that the people, the powers that be, I'll say, I'm not going to say white people, but the powers that be, you know, it's in retaliation of, you know, what they've done to the community. And I'm like, bro, you're absolutely making that up. And you don't want to see that this is just ignorant people doing ignorant people stuff. I'm not going to say the N-word, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? The same way they say, oh, well, boys are going to be boys. Ignorant people are going to be ignorant people. But the thing is, you can't tell black people that. And that's one of the main problems. A lot of white people, you can't tell the truth, but it's just sad that, you know, the truth is just, it's like it comes few and far between. Nobody really wants to identify what's real anymore. It's sad.
Only a few. That's why you give them the chance. That's why I like what Jesse does, is he gives all people the chance to get it off their chest, argue with him, yell at him, whatever, and he tells them the truth. And if they accept it on the spot, that's wonderful. If not, maybe they think about it later, and the truth may sink in to a few of them. So that's nice.
Yeah, but man, like I said, all black people are not like that. You know, there are a lot of black people, in fact, that know better. But check this out. I wanted to ask you a question. But here's my main question. All right. I wanted to ask you if you are a former slut maker.
No, I am not. I was well trained by my mother, maybe overtrained to avoid that type of situation where I could be having sex out of wedlock. So no, I'm not a slut maker.
You know, because in my follow-up, I was going to say, because coming from somebody that, say I guess you could say I'm a former quote-unquote slut maker, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I don't know if you were listening to me. I called in earlier on the Justice Show, and I'm saying that, you know, I grew up in a time where it's normalized that, oh, you know, sex is the thing to do, and not even amongst my peers, but it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to say not even amongst, like, you know, my male friends, but it's like even the females are kind of pushing that whole thing. Yeah. And I mean, of course, at a young age, you know, you see things on TV, you see this, you see that, so you're inclined to want to engage in sexual activity, so it kind of just happens. Yeah. You know, I know Jesse says, oh, well, you know, you engage in sex because you hate your mother. I don't understand the connection. But my main thing is this, right? My main question is, how would you go about curing yourself of that, I guess you could say, sexual deviancy or whatever? You know, how do you go about that? Because again, I wouldn't recommend
doing that. I wouldn't recommend trying to be like me, because I was just, you know, I'm more like over-taught by my mother to avoid that stuff, which is cool, but it's not right. It's not the right way. I recommend, do you do Jesse's silent prayer?
I do.
And then I think if you're committed to what's right, like what the Bible says, right? Seek first the kingdom of God, because if you're going to seek not to be a slut maker, then you're going to end up seeking. That's going to become your false god of this fake material holiness, and you're going to end up doing other stuff that's wrong. So it's best to just go after what's right, the best, you know, with all your heart, and then that whole thing will take care of itself.
I don't think I pursue sex as a means.
No,
I mean,
I'm saying don't pursue not having sex, because
Right.
some people take a preoccupation. Oh, I don't want to look at porn, or oh, I don't want to eat too much, and they end
Right.
up being kind of nutcases. They're focused on their own. It's really their own pride that they're trying to bring about their own righteousness.
I'm not gonna act like I'm like big player or whatever, but it kind of it falls on me. You know what I mean? It's like
I recommend counseling with Jesse if you.
counseling.
Yeah, Jesse has
Oh, yeah.
half hour or a
But
1 hour
he's
counseling.
Gonna tell me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but from what I've been listening to Jesse for about a year or so now, right?
Yeah.
And everybody, he says, "Oh well, you hate your mother. You need to forgive your mother." First
Yeah.
of all, I told him that I talked to my mom, and I think before she passed, I think we had a really good conversation, but I didn't know that I need to forgive her.
Yeah.
So I asked her to forgive me. Okay, so she passed. But I wasn't able to tell her. But in my heart, in everything, with everything that I have, I understand that she couldn't help what she did. Or how she brought me up. She couldn't help it.
But that's
my
like
thing is,
that may be that. There's two things that I can tell you, and then beyond that, I'm just like you, so I can't help you that much. But I can tell you,
I can appreciate that.
one, you're still a young man, and so you're supposed to make you're black, so make black babies. So eventually, you're supposed to get married and have babies. And you're still a young man. You still have that ego that's supposed to bring men and women together. And two, maybe you intellectually understand that your mother couldn't help it, but maybe you haven't completely forgiven her, or maybe you have. I don't know. Make sense? And so I wouldn't write off the stuff that Jesse says just because you don't get it.
Okay.
I understand that you don't get it. I don't get some of that stuff either. But makes sense?
All right. I mean, it's fair. I guess I could give it a shake, but
if you don't want it, that's totally fine. I'm just suggesting it. The counseling thing. And you may not even need it. You may if you're sticking with praying and going after God and what's right with everything, along with nothing else, then you're gonna find your way.
I can see in some cases how hating your mother can connect to sexual deviancy, but not in all cases. And I believe that I'm one of those cases that it doesn't occur in.
Yeah.
But let me ask: do you understand that? I don't get how that's even like a thing. Okay, you hate your mother, so now you hate your mother, and you want to have sex with women.
Hey, man. I'm going to tell you one last thing, and then I do have to get to my other callers. Hang on, callers. So, Nolan, in the Bible, I read something yesterday that John Whitfield told to Benjamin Franklin, and Benjamin Franklin was a smart guy. He told him what Jesus said was that unless you are born again, you cannot see the kingdom of heaven. So if you cannot see the kingdom of heaven, how much are you going to not be able to see about yourself and about the connections between hatred and sex and anger and sex and stuff like that? You're not going to be able to see it. So just be patient with it. Don't try to stew over it, because you're not going to figure it out. I don't want you to become like the intellectuals. That's the way that whites went down, and it's not doing us any favors.
Okay.
Make sense?
Well, look, yeah, that makes sense. James, I appreciate it.
All right.
Keep doing your thing, man. I continue to support you, man.
Cool, man.
Take care.
Thank you, Nolan. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see if Shelly's back. Shelly, you there?
Do you have me? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
So much better. Thank you. I appreciate your patience hanging on there.
Good. Yeah,
of
my
Pasadena.
question is, what is White History Month? I heard you say that. I don't know what that is.
White History Month is the month of July. This is our second annual celebration of White History Month. Jesse Lee Peterson instituted White History Month for the month of July, because July just feels white, because it has vacation. That's the only time you see whites out not working. I'm playing around a little bit, but it has the 4th of July.
So what is the purpose of it?
Oh, it's encourage whites to come out of their shell and stop being afraid and to stand up and fight back against the false attacks on white people and white history, because you'll notice like they're taking down Confederate monuments, Confederate flags. They're calling whites racist who aren't even remotely hateful. They're calling whites racist just for doing the right thing or for saying something that happens to be true. In some cases, they may say something that's mildly hateful or whatever, and then they're disproportionately attacked while others get away with saying hateful stuff. So just in general, there's an attack on white people, and he wants
So how do you
whites
counter that?
You
I mean,
counter
how
it.
does White History Month? I mean, if that's
White History Month is about love from all races, whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Japanese, Chinese, the homosexuals, and everybody, women and men, to remember that it was whites, those whites who founded the country, have appreciation for them rather than denigrating them, and also acknowledge that there's an unjust attack on white people today. And we don't want whites to become weak, because whites are becoming weaker and weaker and weaker morally. Just as all races seem to be declining in their morals nowadays, whites are following suit. And the problem is whites are also not having babies. So whites are becoming a minority in their own country. And they are the only people that disproportionately vote Republican, which is not always a good thing because there's a lot of rhinos out there. But we voted for Trump disproportionately, I mean, as a majority, and other races did not vote for Trump as a majority, although many races are waking up, a minority of them. But we want whites to keep on running this country because they are the ones who, of the majority of whom, support freedom for all, justice for all, the Constitution, America, love, and all that stuff, Christianity. They're the ones who are the closest thing to real Christians, although many of them are not. And so we want them to return to Christianity and stuff.
You have to be Christian to be white?
No, you don't have to be Christian to be white. There's a whole lot of whites that are not Christians. And a lot of whites pretend to be Christians. Nowadays, Christianity is just, so many people are faking it, thinking that it's real. And then they're judging the real Christians, like Jesse, like maybe Trump, I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand, because you brought up Christianity. I don't understand what that has to do with history.
Oh, because there's a whole lot of Christianity involved in America at our founding. It's part of what built America to be so great, because Christianity is hugely important for civilization.
So how do we bring the history? I mean, because you said, this, that, but but I'm not hearing,
blah, blah, blah.
Historical facts. I mean, what is the history other than? I mean, because there's a whole lot of other
here's a
people
historical
who are
here's a
involved in
historical
building
fact.
America.
Here's a historical fact.
So where is the history?
The history is white people founded America and built it up. And other races helped. We allowed other races to help. That was nice.
So just words. I'm just asking you, where are the documents? What are what are we to look? I mean, when you say history, I'm thinking
read.
Of something written.
I'll give you one.
Just what you say.
Oh, you don't really know that there's history? Okay, so read the Declaration of Independence. That's a nice one. It's a really nice one. You might find that the complaints are a bit repetitive and hard to follow, but trudge through it, read the whole thing, and you'll get whatever you get. It's a really nice document. I read pretty much the whole thing, skipping little parts that I didn't think.
So
in about I did it in about 5 minutes on July 1st.
Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Really nice one.
Yeah. And then what about the Constitution?
That one's nice.
Where do we look for there?
You can read it. It's to me, it's a little dry. There's some really good parts in it, and you'll find some failures in white history there too, because they've changed the Constitution. Unfortunately, white people got suckered into changing the Constitution in certain ways, and it They instituted income tax over 100 years ago and changed the
And
way
that's
we
a
elect the
horrible
Senate.
thing.
Yeah, all this madness. So we want to recognize what went right and what went wrong. Make sense?
Yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out how are we going to let people know that in White History Month?
Oh, like I read it. I've read parts of all that stuff in the days prior. I don't know if you caught those parts of the show. But yeah, just in general, you just wish people well, wish people a happy White History Month. A lot of people know stuff, but then they're taught a caricature of history where they're judging the white people that built the country rather than having a fair-minded view of them.
So is there a way that we can make it like a national thing?
Yeah, we can keep pumping it up and make sure that you keep it all about love. Don't beat anybody over the head with it, but just wish them happy White History Month, and all races can love and appreciate whites on White History Month, especially those whites that were tough that founded the country. And then also Trump is like a good example. He's a throwback to those good old days because he's so tough and real and doesn't back down, and he stands by what he thinks is true. And it's so nice. It's refreshing. President Donald Trump.
Oh, President Trump, yeah.
Yeah. So isn't that nice?
Yeah, make America great again.
Yeah. And America was great at its founding.
And we've come a long way.
Yeah, we've fallen a long way. There's some stuff that may be a little better, but there's a lot of stuff that's a lot worse, unfortunately, especially morally.
Yeah, so what do we do about that?
Support Bond and be an example yourself, and anything else that as the Lord leads you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Shelley.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the call. Take care. By the way, one quick question. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you white or black?
White.
Nice. Happy White History Month to you. Even if you were black, I would still wish that to you. All right, take care, Shelley.
Bye.
Bye. Let me get to Ronnie, first-time caller out of Pennsylvania. Ronnie, how are you?
Hello. I just wanted to ask, why do you think empathy is a liberal idea?
Because liberals push the word empathy because they know secretly that they don't have love, and love is what you should have, like real compassion. But people don't really know what that is, and so they use the word empathy. And empathy is just feeling what somebody else feels, or imagining that you're feeling what somebody else would be feeling, and that's not the way to be. It's a liberal word. Liberals use it a lot.
Okay, I understand now.
Make sense? Cool. Happy White History Month to you.
All right, bye.
All right, bye. Polly, out of Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe. Polly, how are you, man?
Hey, how's it going, James? Happy White History Month.
Thank you. Happy White History Month to you as well.
Hey, I thought I would tell that one caller, Charles. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Charles, just listen to the detective. You don't have to call James up and challenge his position. He wasn't challenging yours, and Charles is a good guy. Charles, just watch that interview of the detective who actually, and he black, the detective that was with that five whatever it was at the park in New York.
Are you talking about
I lived in New Jersey in high school at the time. I remember it vaguely, but just listen to the detective's interview, Charles, and that'll help you out and clarify some stuff. But happy White History Month, James.
Thank you, Polly. Are you talking about the Daily Mail interview with that detective?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I saw you posted up about a week or so ago, and I looked at it, and it was just very interesting.
Yep.
And
that detective thinks that they're guilty. He goes further than I do.
100%. And what I would suggest, Charles, is just the interview. Like, take what I didn't watch the Netflix thing, and I won't, because I know it's anti-white and showing that the blacks are oppressive and the evil, mean whitey. But I just wanted to give a shout-out to our girl, Maze, because I know one of the times she called last week saying, y'all ain't talking about no white history. All y'all talking about black. So, all right, Maze, have some fun with you today, and I'm sure you'll laugh, James. Happy White History Month to Ray Kroc, who basically created franchising for fast food restaurants, and the McDonald's brothers, or we can also talk about Henry Ford, or if the liberals, it bothers them that we celebrate White History Month, we can talk about their own people like Mark Zuckerberg, who created Facebook, or who's the guy that created Microsoft, James?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. These are things that the black and the white use or participate in every day. So I don't understand why these people, whether we like or dislike their politics, we celebrate them. Why not?
Yep. You know, I was seeing how like Mark Zuckerberg was, and like I was reading a little bit about him. Man, like there's something to respect there. He was unique. I didn't get the whole gist of what he really was like, but I was reading it and I was like, wow, that is kind of cool. But he was kind of hated.
The reason I bring that up, and me and you are 100% not in line with his political thinking.
Yeah.
But it's the purpose of he's creating, because you hear this flea market pamphlet talk handed down generationally that whites don't create anything and they steal everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, like, when we're saying happy White History Month, there's a jest in it. I get it, and I also, there's nothing wrong with celebrating American people as a whole.
Yeah.
But when black people always are talking about, not all, a lot, they say whites don't create anything. I mean, let's just start talking about basic stuff like McDonald's or the Henry Ford, or just stuff that we do every day. The internet. You can't say that slavery created all of this stuff. And it's just,
I know.
I love the fact that you and Jesse talk about, and I always talk about this, how the Arabs just walk right over how the Arab people basically sold slaves, and to this day.
Yep.
They're beating them. They're on the internet and
castrating them and everything. Yeah, it's evil, man. But they're blind, and hopefully we're waking a few of them up. And I happen to know that a lot of people have awakened up, so that's cool. Appreciate it, Paulie.
Tell Jesse I said go get him a Big Mac today with some French fries.
All right. Sounds good, man. Take care.
Happy White History Month.
You too. Bye. Carlos, first-time caller out of Shampito, California. Carlos, how are you?
Hey, hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yep, there you are.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine, thank you, man.
First time getting a hold of you guys. Anyways.
Cool.
I just wanted to...
Are you from San Pedro? San Pedro?
Yes, San Pedro,
okay.
Yeah, San Pedro, California.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, I just want to make, I'm a teacher. I work for the public schools. And one of the things that I notice about, nowadays, and I work in I'm an art teacher, so
okay.
I teach art, drawing and painting, and digital art. But one of the things that I notice is that students nowadays are, for example, you mentioned the idea of White History Month, and they will not respect that. I often see that mentality against that idea. Also, the idea that is very feminine is the idea of transgenderism. I have a lot of students who are, they want to see themselves as something else, opposed to their biology.
Yeah.
And so it's very tough to. I noticed that it has changed a lot, and quite a few teachers are dropping out of the education, public schools.
Because of this?
Yeah, they feel burned out, and also just a lack of interest for the pedagogical factors of teaching, and it's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, man, that's a shame. So
yeah,
man, you're teaching high school or what?
Yeah, I teach high school students 9 through 12. You know, I love teaching art, and I think it's a great way for kids to, especially in the inner city, you know, for them to express themselves artistically. But there's so often that idea being perpetuated that they have to, you know, I mean, I understand that art is a way to release a lot of your ideas and everything, and you know, I don't censor the kids, but I often see that the main focus has to do with sexuality in many ways, you know, and I feel like I'm not in the because if you as a teacher you say, well, you know, maybe try something that it doesn't have to be geared to that idea, you know, but it often is, and it's I don't know what to say about things like that, you know. I think that the kids nowadays are being brainwashed to accept something that might not even be true, you know, but somehow it is part of that, you know, so anyways, I don't know, I just wanted to share that because I feel it's that.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. I feel that the arts have become very corrupt. Back in the day, the arts were about like excellence, and there were rich people who would hire artists way back to do like really nice things, you know, like Michelangelo and all them. But nowadays, like anything is considered art,
you know.
And you're right, they are promoting like sexual stuff. I mean, they are high schoolers, right? You got to cut them a little slack, but like you said, apparently you have a number of transgender and other students, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I would say that most of your students are dealing with nasty sexual stuff in some way or another.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I understand that they're you know, they're at that age and they're you know, finding who they are. You know, I get that, but I just feel that it's almost like not even cannot even be questioned. You know, I mean, I often
are you feeling like you can't like quitting like other teachers have been?
Like quitting? I thought about it. I feel like I you know, I have definitely thought about it and probably eventually moving on to something else, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I can't at the moment. I'm not ready for that. But I do see it. You know, I mean, I do see that that idea. I mean, possibility of doing that.
Well, I mean,
it's a lot of work to begin with, and then when kids are not open to new ways of seeing things or probably discussing things, even in a you know, in a class discussion that could you know, we could question things, and why not? You know what I mean? I mean, that's just how the nature of learning, right? But oftentimes you can. You know, if I start saying, you know, not saying that you shouldn't believe what you believe, but just to have it as let's bring it as a question, you know, like just to see
how they react.
It's necessarily true, you know, this agenda they're trying to put up there, you know.
Yeah, it would be nice if you can. If it would be nice if you can, you know, introduce other ideas to them while still protecting your job, because it's nice to have good people who are setting a good example, even if they're not, you know, spreading the so-called truth, because you can't really tell the truth in schools without losing your job. But it's good to have a good example there in those schools, because those schools are hellholes. In that they're encouraging evil. Like what you said, they're encouraging all kinds of sexual madness and anti-White History Month and stuff like that.
Exactly. So that's true too. That's another thing too. I mean, you can't say anything positive about. Also, the idea that, you know, you cannot even say, okay, so let's discuss an artist's work, and okay, if he happens to be white, I mean, okay, well now just bring another artist that has to be a minority artist, which is fine. You know, I do all of that, but it's almost like you have to constantly be perpetuating that idea. And, you know, I mean, we could learn from every type of artist. Doesn't matter whether he's white or whatever, you know. But, I mean, it doesn't have to be so militant. I feel like it's kind of like that, especially in the arts. I'm like,
Carlos, I got to end it, but I appreciate it. Don't lose heart. Stay, don't let that stuff get to you. Of course. Just be a good example to them, and I think that'll go a long way, man. I appreciate it. Take care, Carlos.
Guys, thank you. You know, happy White. Great, man.
All right. Happy White History Month to you.
Happy White History.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. See you guys Sunday, 9 a.m. my time for my show on the Hake Report channels, and 11 a.m. Pacific time for Born to Build in the Man channels. Take care, guys.